Hi guys, it's me Zarina and welcome back for another video. As you can see, we're in different set today because we're here at Sourdough Cafe and Deli located in Tomas Morato, because today's episode is gonna be exciting because we will be interviewing one of the users of our salt technology products, Chef Alvin Ong, the owner of Sourdough Cafe and Deli.
So ngayon papakainin natin yung starter mo. Equal amounts of flour and water. Mix it by hand first. Kasi ang factor, di ba minsan makikita niya masabaw siya, like sa amin malapot. Sa temperature kasi yun eh. Pag masabaw, meaning wala na siya makain din na sugar sa flour. Masyadong mainit yung lugar. So kaya i-maintain mo sa medyo malamig, huwag masyadong mainit. Well, it really depends kung paano mo siya gagamitin. Maraming factor. Kami kasi, ginagawa namin, binubuhay muna namin siyang bubbly. Tsaka namin tatago sa ref para ma-preserve lang. So, i-mix mo lang talaga ng mabuti. After ko i-mix, bubuhayin ko muna siya. Lalagay ko sa medyo mainit na lugar. Pag bubbly na, tsaka ko lalagay sa ref. Yan lang, ganyan lang siya. Makita mo ngayon, hindi siya mabula. Dough lang siya na malagkit. Mamaya makikita mo even sa sides, bubula na Ito yung kanina yung pinakain natin. Di ba kanina malagkit? Ngayon mas magaan, puro bubbles. Ngayon papatulugin ko na siya sa ref. This is our active starter. As you can see yung bubbles. Okay na siya. We'll just combine everything. We have our water. You get your starter. Tutunawin mo siya actually dito. Makikita niyo okay siya pag lumulutang. Meaning buhay siya. Ganito lang gagawin niyo siya. As in, dudurugin niyo siya sa water para mag-disperse siya evenly. Tapos mapapansin niyo mas cloudy na yung water Tapos water temperature is very important. Sa amin, room template, water temperature namin. Pero malamig yung sourdough. Actually, yung sourdough, mas madali siya kasi manual para hindi mabanat yung gluten. Kaya siya hindi namin mini-mixer. Nabubugbog kasi yung dough kapag mini-mixer namin So ito na yung water, yung flour at yung starter, yung levain. So i-mix na natin. Just make sure na lahat ng flour, ma-absorb ng flour yung water. Kailangan yung kamay mo talaga even, lalo na sa gilid. This can make around 20 loaves. Tsaka your hand, kailangan dinudurog mo kasi minsan may mga flour lumps. Importante na ma-disperse. Ayaw mo kasi ng dry spotting. After mixing, you need to let this rest for 1 hour at least. It would help yung flour mag-absorb ng water. Pangalawa, it would lubricate the gluten to form and to align. Parang ito na yung pinaka-process mo of kneading. Pero instead of kneading, yung harina pinapatrabaho mo na mag-align sila instead of ikaw. Pag makikita niyo may ibang side sabaw na sabaw pa, importante hinahalo. Tsaka kailangan mabasa lahat ng harina. Yung water content nito ng sourdough, depende kung gaano kalakas yung harina nyo at kung gaano kataas yung protein content. Tsaka kung ano yung hydration na gusto nyo. Sa amin, we are using 72% hydration. Kaya pa niya maging 75. Hindi lang namin sinasagad kasi there are times na you need to check your flour kung basa siya or mataas may moisture niya or hindi. So wala na tayong dry spotting. Sobrang shaggy ng dough. You let this rest na for 1 hour. So after an hour, ganito na ka-stretchy. Smooth na siya. Okay na siya. Nang wala pang kneading, pero nakita mo aligned na. Then we'll add our baker's secret na salt. We use it for 2%. At 2% 2% ratio namin. What we do, just spread the salt. Tapos imamasahin nyo lang dalawang kamay yung asin. After mo mamasaya, halos wala ng butil ng asin, i-rest mo na naman siya for another 30 minutes. bago mo i-stretch and fold na. Pero ang kagandahan kasi with the baker's secret, madali siya mag-dissolve kahit magaspang siya. Tsaka hindi siya masakit sa kamay. Hindi mo mapapansin mas pino na yung asin. Tsaka nakita naman namin difference. Ang bilis niya mag-dissolve sa dough kahit magaspang. Especially if you're going to consider na yung salt hindi mo tinunaw sa water. Diniretso mo na siya sa dough. Kasi may isa kaming ginagawa, lower yung hydration. Meaning mas konti yung water, so mas tuyo na sourdough. Pero okay pa rin yung asin niya. So ngayon, nakikita nyo, walang dry spotting. Tsaka mas buo na siya hawakan. Hindi tulad kanina na sabog-sabog. Yan, rest ulit natin to for 30 minutes para sa unang stretch and fold natin. So, di ba kanina, nag-auto-list tayo for 1 hour yung before adding the salt. Ngayon, we added the salt, we rested for 30 minutes. Pag titignan nyo ngayon, smoother na siya. Yan yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na yung sa salt, no kneading, it's just letting the flour absorb all the water, then adding the salt separately, it strengthens the gluten formation of the Yun yung kinaibahan na nakita kong difference with the salt. Ngayon, we will do the kneading process or tinatawag na stretch and fold. So, depende sa sa temperature, depende sa style nyo kami, we do 4 sets nito. You just stretch, fold it to itself on all direction. That's our first fold. Later, after like 2 or 3 folds, makikita mas makinis na siya. This is our first pa lang. So after this, we let this rest for another 30 minutes. Then, yun, ulit. So just wet your hands with a spray. This would be our second fold. Smoother than the first one. You just scoop and you just repeat the process. Scoop it as far as you can. Yeah, so just scoop, stretch, fold. Yeah, tapos na. So we wait another 30 minutes for the third fold. Mapapansin, pa-smooth na siya na pa-smooth. So this would be our third fold. Mas makinis na siya like where we started. So yung na-enhance na ng salt yung gluten formation. So na-strengthen na nung salt yung gluten formation. Kaya when you stretch, you can stretch it without breaking it. So this is our third fold. Tapos let's wait again for 30 minutes. For our fourth and final fold, bago natin siya pre-shape and i-shape. So this would be our last fold for a sourdough. Mas kinis na siya. Before, we used to do 6 folds. But when we started using the baker's secret, we made it into 4 folds. Nabawasan kami ng 1 hour just by using a different salt that helped gluten development. Ang main difference ngayon, you're going to feel the dough. It's very light. It's very light tsaka very airy na siya. Hindi na siya malagkit tulad kanina. So let's let it rest for another 30 minutes before we do our portioning, then pre-shape tas final shape. Bago natin siya i-retard or i-rest sa ref. Yan, proportion natin to around mga 850 to 880. Then rest ulit for 30 minutes bago natin siya i-shape. Latag lang natin siya tuloy-tuloy. Kaya natin siya nilalatag para ma-relax lang yung gluten. Tuloy lang natin to i-shape hanggang maubos to, tapos rest na ulit. Ganyan lang pag-shape. Mamaya after this, after the resting, pre-shape tayo, tapos final shape. Yung final shape, diretso na siya sa ref. Yung ginagawa natin sa pre-shape lagi is para mag-tighten. Meaning pag-tighten is, ini-stretch natin siya. Ganito binabanat mo siya ng konti para sumikip. Ngayon pag sumikip, para i-bake mo, kaya niya bumanat. Hindi siya dadapa. Tatak mo lang siya. So ito, mag-rest na naman sila ng 30 minutes. Iba-ibang way kasi pag fold. Minsan ginagawa namin ganito. Depende kung saan kayo nadadalian. Tsaka depende kung gaano ka ba sa indo. Yan o. Nakita niyo yung gluten, gaano nakalaki. Ang paggawa lang naman ng sourdough, kailangan mo patience. Sa haba ng oras ng process, yun lang kailangan mo dito. Tsaka yung handling. Pansin nyo, hindi ako naglalagay ng harina sa kamay. para hindi magkaroon ng puting harina sa gitna pag naluto. Kasi once na binudburan mo ngayon ang harina, tapos nag-shape ka, lahat ng harina nasa gitna, hindi na niya ma-absorb. So pagkaluto, may bilog-bilog kang harina sa loob. Kaya ganyan siya. Hindi ka pwede ibang tao naglalagay ng oil sa kamay. Kung kaya naman na less touch the better, para hindi malagkit. Tsaka make sure na, like kami, hindi namin tinatakpan yung dough pag nagre-rest. Kasi hindi naman ganun kainit, pero pag sa bahay, o kung saan man gagawin sa mainit, kailangan takpan para hindi magkaroon ng skin. At this stage, medyo mahangin siya kaya nagbabounce siya. Nagwo-wobble. Pagtapos nito, after resting, tutupiin mo ulit na final tupi, mas masikip, para may tago na sa basket. Bali, ganito lang yung final folding. Ito yung para itatak mo na siya sa baneton. So, fold mo lang ulit. Stretch konti. Stretch. Half fold. Nakita nyo, kumikinis pag naiipit. Another. Para maipit at magkaroon siya na siyang shape. Ganyan siya. Sikipan mo lang konti. Konting rice flour para hindi dumikit. Ganyan lang siya. Then, pwede ka kumuha mga shower cap para may tago na sa ref. Ito na for tomorrow's baking mo.
Beside me is the owner of Sourdough Cafe and Deli, Chef Alvin Ong. Hi, Chef.
Hello.
So today I will be asking you a few questions. So let's start by telling me what previous work or study experience do you have as a baker?
Actually, my study experience for baking was in school, was in culinary school. So yung subject lang ng baking, patisserie class. Then during my corporate job for Potatoes USA, I teach people how to use dehydrated potato flakes in baking. So from there, I was reading books, I was reading journals on how to use it, like paano yung mga baking structures and all. So dun ako nag-start. Then it got me curious when I was reading a book from Eric Kaiser na why does all his bread has sourdough starter. Kasi sourdough starter. So that's where I started na mag-start ng buong mother starter. Doon ko na tinitingnan, iba-iba reaction na. I would watch YouTube, I would read books from Ken Forkish, Chad Robertson, kung paano siya ginagawa.
I see. It's more on curiosity pala.
More on curiosity na what makes it different? What makes it rise from the usual instant teas that's available in the market?
So what inspired you to start baking sourdough and putting also your own cafe?
Actually, it inspired the first few inspiration was the mga European cafes here in Manila. Before it was Le Coeur de France, which is wala na ngayon. Then Wildflower came in, Eric Kaiser. Those are my favorite bread shop where I go to. So parang that's where I start. That's where I got my inspiration. Now why not we differentiate ourselves to start making a sourdough bread? Na wala pa that time, when we started like July 2019, wala pa.
So you actually like sourdough itself, no? Parang gusto mo talaga
General bread.
Okay. So what are your favorite techniques that you use daily as a baker?
Actually, if you see how we make sourdough, very technical siya, hindi minamachine, puro kamay. Sa akin, the best part in baking or my favorite part is, alam mo when you touch the dough, when you knead the dough, because that's where you feel yung flour mo, kung basa siya ngayon or hindi. That's where you know kung gaano karami tubig mo ilalagay mo eh.
Yeah, it's actually on your hands, no? More on hands
Yung
talaga
feel?
siya. Yeah.
Kasi pag the machine cannot feel naman kung gaano kataas yung moisture content ng flour mo ngayon. It varies.
Do you consider using Baker's Secret red salt as one of your techniques in baking sourdough?
Actually, yes. Like before, di ba, when we started, we were using like the regular iodized salt that you see in the market. But when I've tried the Baker's Secret, nabawasan ako ng 2 folding time. So that's 1 hour. Pangalawa, hindi siya masakit sa kamay or mahapdi. When you knead the salt sa dough, hindi siya namumuo. Kasi ang napansin ko sa iodized, kailangan mo siya mag-dissolve. Or else magka-clump up yan. Pag na-bake, buo pa rin asin mo. With the Baker's Secret, ang bilis niya mag-dissolve kahit mas malaki yung granules niya. Pag pinipindot mo siya with the dough, ang bilis siya mag-dissolve.
Yeah, it's very highly soluble and nag-enhance din yung sourdough.
Hindi siya hindi siya namumuo, soluble siya. Kahit i-bake ko na may buo, alam kong tunaw siya after. Pangalawa, yung stretching, pag-strengthen ng gluten. Kasi at 4th fold, makinis na yung dough ko. As compared before, we need to make 6 folds. So that's an hour time.
Yeah, so it's lesser time in folding, no? Kasi yun talaga yung key sa making sourdough, no? The folding.
Kasi yung folding, it's part of your bulk fermentation, yung first fermentation.
Opo.
So we shortened it kasi ang bilis na develop ng gluten because of the salt. Siyempre, di ba, ang act ng salt is to strengthen the gluten formation. Ngayon, if mabilis siya ma-strengthen, mabilis siya magkikinis, mabilis siya mag-align.
So really, the Baker's Secret red salt made a big impact on your sourdough. So, do you also recommend Baker's Secret red salt to the other sourdough makers in the industry?
Of course, actually, more on general baker. Kasi number 1, problema minsan sa baking, yung solubility. Kasi like, when you do normal better straight dough method, you add your sugar, your salt, sometimes in water. Ibang tao naman, buo siya ginigilid siya, like sa amin. But for sourdough, napansin mo naman, dough na siya bago may add yung salt. So wala siyang water contact. Usually, you would spray a little bit of water, but for iodized salt, hirap siya matunaw.
Nga pala, chef, no? Why is it that you put the salt, kumbaga dinelay mo yung salt sa paglagay ng application?
That's what you call the autolysis method, para hayaan mo muna yung flour mag-absorb ng water.
So to work on itself?
Kaya yung salt, it would dehydrate whatever na pagdadapuan yan. So para di sila mag-contra, i-strengthen mo, i-develop mo muna yung gluten through the autolysis method before you add the salt, para wala kang nadi-dehydrate.
So that's a technique, no? So you are also using Arwen Gourmet Salt Mild One. Can you tell us what do you like about Mild One and how do you use it?
For the mild one naman, we usually top it on bread like for focaccia. After baking, before baking, we would sprinkle it sa ibabaw, sa olive oil, bebake namin. Ang ganda naman sa kanya, after baking, buo pa rin yung salt. Hindi siya nadi-dissolve sa oil. So it would give you a crunch and texture, especially for our focaccia.
Yes, and pang toppings talaga siya.
Pang finish siya.
Pang-finish
I wouldn't
siya.
recommend it for baking or for cooking. I would highly recommend it pang toppings. Like if you have like a pizza or like, for example, mga baby squid na tapas. Yung appetizer, may oil base, top ka sa konti. Yung mild one, smoked salt, those are my favorite salt eh. Before we did an event, we used the fluducel.
Fluducel, yeah.
It's just scallops, sea urchin foam, then you top it with fluducel.
And it's perfect, right?
Sobrang bilis lang. Maganda sa kanya kasi parang it's not the salty kind of salt, pero more of it brings out the umami or the flavor of the item. Yun ang nakita namin difference niya. Kaya we use mga ganun stuff dito.
It's more on finishing,
Finishing.
Yeah.
And lumalabas yung linamnam. Yung mas malinamnam siya. Kaya like for other salt, what we notice, when you add too much of the salt, like the normal table salt, it will become salty. But this one, it will become rich.
Rich. The flavor is more rich, right?
Hindi siya yung straight na sharp salty. Lumalabas yun, it brings out the flavor of whatever item, like mas naging rich siya.
Another one that you're using is the smoked salt gourmet salt. So it is paired with your Basque burnt cheesecake, right? So
We suggest it na itatap mo sa kanya to cut down the richness, but then it brings out the flavor. Hindi siya yung Actually, pag hindi mas maalat, pero it would parang enhance.
Enhance, yeah. It has a flavor release and it enhance your cheesecake. Okay. So, what are the feedback you got from your customers when you start using Salinas products such as the Baker's Secret Red Salt, the Arwen Gourmet salts?
Actually, parang nakikuha lang namin is mas richer. Like, for example, yung lobster bisque. When we started, yung sa X-Salt, na we were using X-Salt, people would complain it was salty. But when I tried it, it was briny. It brought out the flavor of the stock.
Okay.
Yung mga nanibago sila, parang they're used to like, used salt lang talaga yung flavor. And like, it became more briny. So it brought out the richness of the lobster stock. So we were using less salt than that normal table salt. It brought out the richness.
Yeah, so it saves you also, no? The cost.
It saves you.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's it, Chef Alvin. Thank you so much for giving us your time and taking your time to show us your hit sourdough and for your feedback on the way on our gourmet salts gave an impact on your product. So now, please invite the viewers to visit Sourdough Cafe and Deli and taste the benefits of mineral sea salt through your sourdough breads and cheesecakes. And also, you can mention if you have future plans here in sourdough that our viewers can look forward to.
Hi, we'd like to invite you here at Sourdough Cafe in Delhi. So you can try our breads using the Baker's Secret. You can try our mga pizzas. You can try our best-selling ossobuco as well. So lahat ng gamit namin puro mga Salinas mineral salt.
And you can also try their wine. So make sure to come here at Tomas Moratos here in Sourdough Cafe and Deli.